Poor people should not be forced to eat unhealthy food just because they're poor. There should be a cheap, healthy choice.
Poor people should not be made to become sick just because they are poor. Poor people should not be forced to eat bad nutrition just because they are poor. If we look at the McDonald's hamburger, the dollar hamburger, French fries and a Coke, the what we call the inexpensive food, there's no reason why that cannot be a veggie burger, a vegetable stick, and an apple juice, green tea, or some type of healthy, fresh fruit, vegetable drink. It's all a matter of volume, and if we understand where that cow comes from to make that hamburger, that cow is probably grown in Argentina, transported, processed, and it's very expensive to actually bring it there to make that dollar menu. How much less expensive and how much more profit would there be for McDonald's? How much more profits would there be for McDonald's if there was a veggie burger, something grown local, rich, high nutrition grains and vegetables made into a veggie burger? Thereby, the poor people would be able to buy this type of healthy food. If they want the hamburger or something that's high glycemic, heavy in trans fats, low in nutritional value, something that's going to be causing them disease and increasing the probability of disease, then those people should be willing to pay for that. Here in Hungary, they've started a hamburger tax just for that purpose, to be able to charge people the true value of what it takes for our society to have to deal with people eating those poor, unnutritious, fat, disease-causing foods. We've had to impose a tax.
Hungary, Denmark, and many countries around the world are imposing taxes on foods that make people sick and unhealthy.
Because, I used to be a smoker, and I quit smoking for health reasons, but if I lived in the United States, I probably would have quit because it was just too damn expensive to buy cigarettes. So, we have governments all the time influencing behavior. Why not do it when it comes to obesity?
I'm actually all for the tax. The reality is Denmark has a 10% obesity rate. That's the perfect time to address obesity. 90% of people who lose weight do not keep it off. It is very hard to reverse obesity. The only way to reverse that trend is to prevent it. So it's the perfect timing for Denmark to make big measures to reverse the trend and get in front of any escalating obesity numbers. And I'll tell you what, any survey around the world, the best looking people always come up to be the Danes. They must be doing something right.
We all know if we go to McDonald's every single day, that's not going to be healthy for you, okay? I mean, that's common knowledge. That's not a mystery.
I
want to go to Philip first. Let Philip go. Go ahead, Philip.
Thanks. We believe the government's made the mistake of demonising traditional nutrient-dense foods and fats from grass-fed animals. McDonald's doesn't provide that. It's a lot of these are from factory farmed animals, which have a completely different nutrient provision. Instead, the government have replaced natural fats and traditional foods with excess carbohydrates, toxic margarines and vegetable oils. And we actually believe that these are what are causing obesity and disease. Yeah, I'd like to address the sugar issue. We're concerned that the fat tax targeting sugar will encourage artificial sweeteners, and these actually can induce food cravings by creating an insulin response. And artificial sweeteners like aspartame are particularly toxic. This is produced from GMO bacteria, and it breaks down into formaldehyde and methanol in the gut. And we're going to see a lot more of this. But the ironic thing about the government's nutritional guidelines, one of the most ironic things, is over half of the calories proposed are from carbohydrates, and the body breaks these all down into sugars. And the only use of sugar in the diet really is energy, and we've got excess carbohydrates, and the body is putting this on the waist and the bottom, everywhere you don't want it to be, because we're just overloaded with carbohydrates through these dietary guidelines.
Well, we've been signaling out McDonald's, but really it's a whole thing about some rumors about them, etc. But we really have to look at this entire fast food industry. And many different countries have decided that they're going to put taxes on this type fast food because it produces disease. It also makes people lazy. And eating for stimulation is not what we need to do. We need to eat for nutrition. And there's so much that we need to avoid: trans fats, sugars, etc. We need to be able to look at this entire thing because we've lost touch with what real food is. It's almost historical. Everything being so processed, everything so synthetic, and it's creating much more and more of a problem. And these companies don't want to be exposed for what they're doing. But when we get down, the cost of meat is really a problem. And the protein in the meat is not what we need. We actually need amino acids, and we get them from plants much more. And this meat and the meat consumption is driving problems into our air, global warming, etc. We need to start going into a more gregarian, agrarian society, where we start to grow by producing oxygen and thereby taking in carbon dioxide from the plants. And when we get down to the poor people, we find that they are the most charitable, and that this is an issue about rich and poor. And what we need to do is to let the government step in and to make these people provide a healthy, cheap alternative. If the only thing that you have is a few dollars in your pocket, you should not be forced to buy unhealthy food. You should have the opportunity to get good, healthy food.
Well, when the fat tax is mentioned, a lot of people will claim that it disproportionately hurts the poor because they have fewer choices, they have less time to work if they're hourly workers. And in many cases, I mean, I was brought up in America, there's not a great deal of, maybe better now, but when I was growing up, knowledge about nutrition was very, very little. If you're a working class family and you don't have much, you're not earning well, you don't have good health conditions, I mean, you fall into this trap of not eating healthy food because, number one, it's relatively cheap.
But you know what's expensive? Being sickly for decades. You know what's expensive? Having diabetes, type 2 diabetes for decades. That's what's really expensive. Eating broccoli, black beans, maybe some brown rice, not expensive. Drinking water instead of sweetened drinks, not expensive. It's a myth that it is so expensive to eat reasonably. What is costing us in suffering and in money is that we are bringing this health crisis onto ourselves. A full 3/4 of our $750 billion health bill is due to our lifestyle choices. And we know, as we've seen with higher taxes on tobacco, and in Denmark they've already been taxing candy, and they've eliminated or minimized trans fat. They have had a positive response. We know in the U.S., as we've elevated the taxes on tobacco, the higher the taxes go, the consumption goes down. So there is nothing wrong with taxing soda. There's nothing wrong with taxing unnecessary, ubiquitous products that, when consumed, do not promote health. We're not talking about food. We're talking about junk food, really.
Now, if that hamburger was $5 and the veggie burger $1, then poor people would not be forced into eating bad food just because they are poor. And this would increase the profit for McDonald's and the food industry from the poor foods, at the same time increasing their profit from the other foods and increasing taxes for the people who really want foods that are going to be causing different types of disease. If we look at the true cost, $5 would be what that hamburger would be. If we looked at the true cost of what cigarettes would be, a pack of cigarettes should be about 25 euros to 50 euros, depending on volume, for the damages that it does to our entire society, as our society has to deal with the sickness and health problems that come from this. With this in mind, thereby the poor people would be able to get good foods, and the people who want unhealthy foods would be paying for that risk.
We need to have a tax on unhealthy food and all the chemicals that are creating all of this sickness. Poor people should not be forced to eat unhealthy food just because they're poor. If they don't have much money, they should be able to buy healthy food. That should be their choice. Poverty and stupidity should not force you to be sick. Poor, stupid, fat, sick, and nearly dead. We have to change this. We have to make sure that we recognize that we can reduce the price, reduce cholesterol, reduce disease, reduce poverty. We can help make our people more intelligent. We can help make them more healthy. We can help to make our whole society better. But it's going to take the government stepping in and recognizing that they have to do something, and that businesses will profit from it. If they can design a healthy tasting veggie burger, businesses will profit and make money on it. Desiree Dubonnet, bringing a little bit of enlightenment to you. Thank you.